Warning, warning, danger, danger. Only watch this video if you have already worked SAT Digital Practice Test 2 on Blue Book. The reason is you don't want to look at an explanation for a question on the practice test before you've worked it. It will pollute your working of SAT Practice Test 2 the first time, and you won't get a clean score, an accurate score. But I'm going to show how to work some questions from this. And this is SAT Practice Test 2 reading, the second module, the hard module. If you do well on the first module, you'll get the hard module. If you don't do so well, you get the easy module. This is a hard module. Always on reading questions on digital SAT, start by reading and understanding the question. It's going to tell you what kind of question it is, and then you can proceed from there. The student wants to introduce Katherine Helverson's book to an audience already familiar with the Atlantic Monthly. Which choice most effectively uses relevant information from the notes to accomplish this goal? So this is a notes question. In notes question, step 1, look at the answer choices, eliminate those that do not mention what the student wants to accomplish. In this case, introduce Helverson's book to an audience already familiar with the Atlantic Monthly. If it says already familiar with the Atlantic Monthly, that means it better not introduce the Atlantic Monthly or explain it. That would be a waste of time to an audience already familiar with it, but wants to introduce Katherine Helverson's book to this audience. A, Katherine Helverson's book, or Katherine Helverson's Faraway Women and the Atlantic Monthly, discusses female authors whose autobiographies appeared in the magazine in the early 1900s. Now, I'm not sure if that's a book, but if that's the book, A certainly introduces it to someone already familiar. It doesn't describe Atlantic Monthly, talks about the title of this thing. If it's a book, I'm good. B, a magazine called Atlantic Monthly, referred to in Katherine Helverson's book title, was first published in 1857. That's about the magazine, not the book. It doesn't introduce the book. It doesn't even mention the title of the book. So B is out. C, Faraway Women in the Atlantic Monthly features contributors to the Atlantic Monthly, first published in 1857 as a magazine focusing on politics. This second part describes the Atlantic Monthly, but this has to be an audience already familiar with it. Don't waste time describing it. C is out. So although this does introduce this, well, if Faraway Women in the Atlantic Monthly is a book, it introduces it. It also explains that Atlantic Monthly would be for an audience not familiar with that magazine. D, an author discussed by Katherine Helverson is Juanita Harrison, whose autobiography appeared in the Atlantic Monthly. Not even a mention of a book. So D is out. The answer has to be A. I just want to verify that Faraway Women in the Atlantic Monthly is in fact a book. Let me find this. Here is it. It says the book, Faraway Women in the Atlantic Monthly. So A is it. I just wanted to verify it. But only A addressed what the student wanted to introduce to an audience already familiar. Again, C introduced the book, but was not for an audience already familiar. Wasted time explaining the Atlantic Monthly. So if the question says audience already familiar, don't pick a choice that explains that thing they're already supposed to be familiar with. All right, that's 26. Here's 27 on the same test. The student wants to explain how pineapple extract increased the growth rate of P. javanicus. Remember, always read the question, read and understand the question. Which choice most effectively uses relevant information from notes to accomplish this? Again, whoops, I'm doing this in Paint because I don't want to have to slog through all the earlier questions in Blue Book, and I want to be able to write on it. Otherwise, I do it right on College Board's website in a browser. But I just paste the question in Paint so that I can make notes just like you would in Blue Book. So in Blue Book, you can highlight things, you can cross choices out. So this is a notes question. I'm going to look at the answer choices, eliminate the 3 that don't mention the thing the student wants to accomplish. Sometimes in the hard questions, the hard versions of this type of question, 2 answer choices. I've never seen one with 3, but 2 answer choices will address what the student wants to accomplish. Then I have to look in the notes and see which one contains a mistake. It won't contain something that's not in the notes, but it will have it as a misconception, maybe reversed. It'll say, for example, A caused B, whereas the notes say B caused A. Or we'll just have some jumbled information or a wrong a date that was supposed to be in something that happened before whatever the thing is questioned, and in the answer choice it says it happened after. Just things that are inaccurate to the notes. But first I'm going to eliminate all the answer choices that don't address the student's concern. So it wants to explain how pineapple extract increased the growth rate. Researchers in Indonesia recently found that adding pineapple extract to fish food increased the growth rate. Well, that doesn't, it explains that it did, but not how. An enzyme in pineapple extract, bromelain, increased the growth rate of P. javanicus by enhancing the hydrolysis of ingested proteins, in turn affecting the fish food's total consumption. B addresses it, so I'm keeping B. C, according to the researchers, the growth rate of P. javanicus was affected. It doesn't matter how you pronounce it. I'm pronouncing it either javanicus, javasis, whatever. I know what it is. The growth rate of P. javasis was affected not by food consumption, but by feed utilization and efficiency. No explanation of how. The enzyme bromelain enhanced P. javanicus's absorption of ingested proteins, increasing the growth rate of fish-fed pineapple extract. So there it is. Pineapple extract increased the growth rate by having this enzyme bromelain that enhanced its absorption of ingested proteins. So D also addresses it. Now I have to find out which one has some inaccuracy. So I'm going to look at the notes. P. javanicus is a species of commercially raised fish. Well, that doesn't help. Researchers in Indonesia recently found that adding pineapple extract to fish increased both the feed utilization efficiency and the growth rate. Well, that doesn't help. It just says it increased the growth rate. Adding pineapple extract, did not affect total food consumption. Did not affect, I just found it. Did not affect total food consumption. This one says, in turn, affecting total food consumption. Those are opposites. B is half right, half wrong. Now let me make sure that first part, increase the growth rate by enhancing hydrolysis of enhancing, it says right here, enhances the hydrolysis of ingested proteins. So yeah, the first part of B is definitely right. You don't have to look that up once you find the wrong part. I just wanted to complete the explanation. But this part, in turn affecting the fish's total food consumption, that's wrong. Right here, contradicts it. So B is out. And then D, on test day, I would now pick D. But for the purpose of completing the explanation, I'm going to just verify it. And if you're not sure, you can verify it. The enzyme bromelain enhanced P. javanicus absorption of ingested proteins, increasing the growth rate of fish. So let's see, it does say right here, the enzyme bromelain in pineapple extract enhances the hydrolysis of ingested proteins. This allows the fish to more readily absorb them. And it says enhanced absorption of the proteins. So I verified just now that D is in fact accurate to the notes. I'd already eliminated B, the only other one that mentioned what the student wanted to accomplish, but had a problem. It had something opposite of what's in the notes. I already knew D was the answer, but for the purpose of complete description, I wanted to make sure to verify it. So there the answer is D. So again, with every reading question, read and understand the question. Now for notes, find and eliminate the answer choices that don't mention the student concern. If more than one answer choice remains, see which one has an inaccuracy according to the notes, has something wrong. If only one choice remains, only one choice addresses what the student wants to accomplish or the student's goal, then obviously pick that. But if more than one, as in this second one, this more difficult one, contained the student's goal, then I just had to find the inaccuracy. So the answer was D.